Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Inside Russia. My name is Konstantin, streaming live from the very heart of southern Russia, giving you daily updates. Another update on what is happening in Russia today. This is the very last days of summer of 2022, and it looks like the good days are ending and the long winter is coming. I would like to say, well, first of all, happy Sunday, everyone. To you, you have a little bit of Sunday left, and to me, it's over. I'm going to sleep right after I am done with the stream. Hope you are having a good weekend and good Sunday. And today I have I think an interesting topic for you because again, it's something that you just don't read in the news about Russia. And this is something that I see with my own eyes, what is happening around me and what has been happening in the past 20 years. I compare a little bit and I give my thoughts on what future holds for Russia in certain parts. I'm going to be talking about producing versus importing. Producing, I'm talking about, and I mean producing industries that involve production and technology. Okay, equipment, consumer goods, electronics, cars, planes, trains, heavy machinery, means of production, production lines, and everything. This is what I mean by producing production. I'm not talking about agriculture producing, that's completely different industry. I'm talking about manufacturing and importing everything into Russia. So I kind of compare two processes, producing things inside Russia and importing them from foreign countries into Russia for Russians to enjoy. And I'm asking the question, what is in Russia's future? Is it going to take a path towards manufacturing, self-reliance on everything, or it's going to take a path towards importing, keep on importing anything it needs from foreign countries? And at the end of the stream, I will tell you what I think will happen in the future and why. Well, first couple steps back into history, 20 years. Since the 90s, Russia has had everything. Everything was available to the Russians. And I mean the consumers, the companies, just about anything. Cutting edge technologies, consumer goods, luxury goods, regular goods, electronics, cars, very modern stuff, everything. Russia has not had any shortages of anything. Everything was available. All you needed to have was money. Money would buy you everything. Russia. Welcome to Russia. Why is that so? Well, because, first of all, things were manufactured in Russia and things were imported to Russia. Two parallel processes taking place for the past, I would say, 20 years. 90s were a little different. 90s, all Russians were struggling financially and oil costs peanuts. Russian budget was small, economy was tiny, and Russians were on average poor. But here comes 2000, and the golden years happen. The price of oil surges to over $100 per barrel. Russia sells tons of oil, natural gas to Europe, and metals, minerals, fertilizers. They just go up in price so much, and Russia is the biggest exporter of everything. Russia's riches is in its land. Basically, Russia is a very rich country because, it just sticks pipes into land and money come out of pipes, right? That's what happens. So, since 2000, Russian economy had been growing for pretty much like good, 16, I would say even 20, 22 years. So, own manufacturing did happen in Russia. There were quite a few things manufactured, and the range was absolutely unbelievable. From just about anything was manufactured. Let's just give you some examples: airplanes, cars, tons of cars, medical equipment, electronics, planes, high-speed trains, turbines, electrical technical equipment, high voltage equipment. You just name, and it was manufactured in Russia. There was just one little tiny regard: joint ventures. I cannot name anything at all that was manufactured in Russia 100% by Russians for Russians, and, for foreigners to export to other countries. Perhaps something in the industrial military complex for military use, I don't know. That is secret. I don't even want to peek in there. If I could, wouldn't want to do that, okay? I'm talking about the consumers, the companies, joint ventures. For example, Mercedes were manufactured in Russia. There was a joint venture with Mercedes. Mercedes supplied cars, parts, large parts, already assembled in Germany, and they would come to the factory here, not too far from Moscow, and Mercedes would be completed assembling. The assembly process would be completed, and it was considered that the car was manufactured in Russia. It would have a different customs, duties and things like that. Airplanes. Russia has a large manufacturer of airplanes. The problem is, it bought electronics, it bought materials, it bought technology, it bought engines from abroad. It imported everything. And Russian planes, but the insides are foreign made, imported. There was a funny moment when Dmitry Medvedev, being the president of Russia, I think it was around 2009, something like that. He was he was meeting one of Russia's top manufacturing company bosses, and they were talking about the cell phones. And the boss brought a cell phone, Russian-made cell phone, to Dmitry Medvedev to show him. He said, "Look, wonderful phone, breaking technology." And Dmitry Medvedev asked him, "What about the parts? Where do they come from? Russia?" He said, "Well, unfortunately not. 100% the parts come from abroad. Taiwan, semiconductors, electronics parts and stuff like that." So it's a Russian phone, so-called, but the parts came from abroad, you see. Same thing with high-speed trains. Manufactured by Siemens here. Technology and everything comes from Siemens, assembled here, fine-tuned. Boom, we have Russian-made high-speed train called Lastashka, but it was not conceived, it was not developed in Russia, you see. Same thing about everything, okay? Why didn't Russians want to manufacture everything 100%, the complete cycle? One simple reason, very understandable reason. They didn't need to. There was so much money in the country. Oil, natural gas, metals, rare metals, regular metals, mineral fertilizers. They were bringing in so much money that no one wanted to bother with production. Production is a long-term game, okay? For production, you need certain government policies. You need stability. You need stable economy. You need good financing from banks. You need low interest rate. And this entire infrastructure, yes, manufacturing is like a train engine that is pushing everything forward. But to us in Russia, the train engine was not the manufacturer. It was not developing technologies. It was extracting oil and gas and selling abroad. We had very good customers. We had Europe, fantastic customer for oil and gas, always paid in time, paid good price. We had other countries, well, mostly Europe. We even sold to the United States, gosh, our oil. Basically selling all over the world, but the biggest customer is Europe. Who needs manufacturing? Who cares about trying to build infrastructure, the conditions inside the country, so the manufacturing industry prospers? We can just stick pipes into the ground. Better yet, they're already there. They were stuck into the ground in the USSR, and we just continue receiving money that come out of from pipes. That was the general idea. The government did say a few times, we need to manufacturing, we need to produce things, we need to develop our technologies, but only words. And everyone thought things were okay because everything that we needed that was not manufactured in Russia was imported. Other companies gladly sold their products to us. China, the United States, Canada, Australia, even New Zealand. I know they were selling meat a long time ago. Can you imagine that? Good beef. Europe, of course, Europe, number one exporter of technologies, cars, high-tech stuff. They were glad to have Russia as a consumer. Such a great market, most of things that were imported sold in Russia for much more than they were sold in the countries of origin. That's how it worked. We paid extra for everything. iPhones, Mercedeses, Volkswagens, Mazdas, planes, for you name it. Because one simple reason, we could afford it. Comes February 2022. And, that was the moment of truth. Because all of a sudden, all the smoke was gone, and we saw the situation as it is right now. Turns out that when the companies who helped us manufacture, produce things, trains, planes, cars, some electronics, software, anything. When they left, it turned out that we do not produce anything on our own. Nothing. Again, I'm not touching space industry. I just don't know. I'm not an expert. And I'm not touching the military industry, military industrial complex, because I simply not in the position to know and to talk about it. Okay? And that's a good thing. I want to stay away from that as far as I can. But consumer goods, just regular things, we do not manufacture anything. Beginning from turbines, turbines we do old Soviet technology, but capabilities are very limited. Starting with train engines and ending with nails. Yeah, we don't even manufacture nails here. We used to buy them from Belarus, believe it or not. So, again, I'm not touching agriculture. Agriculture is a completely different story. Agriculture is actually one of the few industries in Russia that is doing very well. It has had a great boost since 2014 when Europe decided to ban exports of its food, agricultural products into Russia, and Russia did the same thing. Russian agriculture industry has flourished. Okay, uh, everything else, we are plain and simple are sitting on our butt right now in trying to figure out what to do next. And the second, that's a problem. That's a big problem. But that's not just the sole problem that we have. The second problem is that we cannot import any longer because the companies who were not present here and who didn't manufacture here but manufactured someplace else and just exported, shipped are their goods, their materials, their parts, their, products. A lot of those companies have stopped trading with Russia. Russia is under sanctions. Some companies did that due to their own ethics, and some companies are simply afraid, and some countries are afraid. I'm going to give you examples. Europe was the best customer for us, and we were the best customers for them. They would buy oil and gas. They would put them into good use the technologies, know-hows, create products, high-quality products, would sell them to us. Well, they don't sell them any longer. We don't sell them oil. They don't want to buy our oil starting next year, and they are cutting down on our gas. And, on the opposite, they're not selling us anything anymore. And not only we cannot manufacture without them, we cannot even service some things such as trains, elevators, ships, planes, etc. So we cannot import, we cannot manufacture, and we cannot import. Granted, Russia is a large country and there's tons of stuff that we have in stock. But stock is being used. It has been being used for past 6 months. And what happens when we start running out of stock? For example, planes, airplanes. We've started cannibalizing airplanes already as I'm speaking. That's just the early bird. Airplanes, they require meticulous maintenance in order to keep on flying safely. And you have to do certain procedures on time. That's the early birds. That's the first knock on the door, so to speak. Everything else is to follow. So, Russian government has come up with a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea, yes. To actually somehow offset these challenges. And it used to be that Russian government created laws that forbade to parallel import. In Russia, it's called parallel import, but it's a matter of gray importing. There's white importing and gray importing. Okay, the difference is pretty simple. The white importing is if a company here in Russia wants to sell something of a foreign producer. Let's say, for example, there's a good example. Okay, a Porsche. Everyone knows a Porsche, German manufacturer. Fantastic cars. So Porsche wanted to sell cars here in Russia. So it contracted a few Russian companies and made them official dealership contracts. And the only Porsches can legally be sold here, they could legally be sold here in Russia, the new ones, were from those companies who had direct dealership contracts with the Germans in Germany. There was a company in Russia who decided to actually buy Porsches in Germany and imported here to Russia and resell on its own brand new cars. That is called gray importing because it does so. It did so without permission of Porsche. Porsche sold cars as to a regular consumer, but that was a company, and it wanted to bring the cars. I think there were like 15 cars to Russia, and compete with the dealers. Okay, and guess what? Porsche and Germany and the dealers didn't like that, and they sued this Russian company who was selling the Porsche cars about 25% cheaper than they were sold at the dealership. Because dealerships, they used very high markup margin because simply they could. No one else could sell. That's not a competition, right? But that company, they decided to compete, but it did so without official permission of the manufacturer. And guess what? In Russia, there were laws that forbade gray importing. And the company was fined, and I think some people even went to jail for that. It was way back in 2005, 2004, perhaps 2006. Since then, attempts like that for gray importing, they stopped because Russian legislation did not allow for gray importing. It was just white importing, like direct connection, official contracts with the manufacturer or exporter. Okay. And the Russian government did that to actually protect the manufacturers, and I think that was a right move. That was a good policy, nationwide policy. But now this policy is actually killing Russians who are left without goods. They cannot be imported directly into Russia because the manufacturers, they say, no. Russia is off the limits. We don't want to deal with Russia any longer, okay? So therefore, they do not import in a white way, in a legal way, and then the companies are not allowed to do gray import. Again, in Russia it's called parallel import because the law does not allow for that. So the Russian government turned around and changed the law. It allowed for gray importing. It's called the parallel import. And some companies, some people immediately started going to Kazakhstan, Armenia, Georgia, I don't know, China, and buying things there. For example, iPhones, and bringing over small shipments of iPhones, because, for example, 50 iPhones at a time, and reselling them to Russia at a lower price that official, resellers are selling their remaining stock at. And this is what has been happening in Russia. And this what partially has offset these challenges of stock running low for many things, for electronics, even for cars. Now you can buy Japanese cars, German cars that are imported in a gray way, in a gray manner. Gray import, okay? So the question right now is this. Russia is standing at the crossroad. And where does Russia's future lie? Is it going to develop its own manufacturing to become self-sufficient for everything? The USSR was self-sufficient. It manufactured planes, cars, basic electronics, consumer goods, furniture, just about everything. Low quality, yes, but it did manufacture. So it had self-sufficient manufacturing industry, producing industry. Will Russia start develop this? Will it go into this direction? Will it start develop the system, conditions, the infrastructure, so companies can flourish developing and selling things here domestically? That's one path. The second path is to continue this gray importing, but increasing its volume volume over time. Meaning, um, building up logistics, um, making conditions for regular individuals easier to go outside of Russia, easier to come back with goods, for customs not to give them hard time and things like that. So I clearly see two paths in front of Russia. One towards self-sufficient manufacturing, and the second one is towards more importing. Now, there are two programs that have been announced by the Russian government. And what I think Russian government is trying to do is it's trying to implement both methods. It tries to go both paths, so to speak. It has said many times that now we are having this state-sponsored program called импортозамещение. Import replacing. It means that we should and must manufacture everything here domestically. And, changing legislation that parallel import now is legal in Russia is clearly a step into the direction of increasing volume of gray import into Russia. So the Russian government has announced this both ways, but where we will end up in a few years, in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years perhaps, which way will dominate? Which way will be most efficient for Russia? Will we manufacture our own stuff or we will import our own stuff in the future? Guess what? We will do none. Now, my arguments why I think that Russia will fail this self-manufacturing, self-sufficient manufacturing program magnificently. It'll fail magnificently because the government is trying to assume the role of the center for decision maker. It tries to assume the role of entity that will be deciding how much and what to manufacture. And we've been there before. We've seen that before. We've heard that music. That's the USSR. It's called planned economy. Now, it's not really planned economy per se, what they're trying to do, but they're trying to beef up state-owned companies so they will start manufacturing more and different products. That will fail miserably because guess what? This system has been in operation in 20 years, since early 2000s, because, obviously the state-owned and state-run companies, manufacturing companies have been growing in numbers. But you know what? It all has brought us down to this point in February when we don't manufacture anything. And if that long history of 20 years have brought us to this point, why do we think that if we keep on doing the same thing, we'll get different result? No, I think the result will be the same. It's just more money will be spent. God knows only how they're spent, for a reason, or they just go different ways. I don't know. But that definitely is not the way. What the government could do is create a system, an infrastructure, conditions for small companies to manufacture. We need stability. We need low interest rates. We need fair court system. We need clearly defined rules of the game inside our country. in order for manufacturing to start developing. And it takes years and years because you cannot just start developing manufacturing turbine. You need to start manufacturing small parts for turbine and build up year after year after year. You got to come up with technologies, research technology, invest into R&D. You gonna, it's stepping stones. You cannot just say, hey, this is the car we produce, and that's it. No way, okay? And it must be a free economy, market economy. It must be competition in the markets. That is the only way how Russia can develop its manufacturing capabilities and manufacturing industry. And if the government dictates, it kind of comes from the top to bottom, it doesn't work. It must come from the very bottom to the very top. That's the way it works, okay? So far it looks like, again, we're making the same mistake. We're from the bottom to the top, that is our system, and the result will be absolutely the same. Now, why I think that we will fail miserably in increasing importing? Because we are not just changing our legislation inside Russia, we are up against a huge force of companies, manufacturing companies. Most of them don't want to sell to Russia and the Russians. And, I mean, it's obvious. You look at Europe, you look at Asia, and you look at China, and you see the trade declining. Everyone in Russia thought that trade volume with China would go up tenfolds because we would replace everything that we bought in Europe and the United States with the Chinese manufactured goods, But you know what? China is saying bye-bye, and it's not selling us. It's not selling us 5G technology as they had promised to. They're not selling us electronics, telephones. Xiaomi and Huawei are leaving Russia. Well, they're officially staying, but they're just decreasing volume. Customs officers in China have been creating havoc to slow down shipments of Chinese goods to Russia. China is clearly saying one thing and doing another thing, and not what they're doing speaks much louder than words, okay? And then they're not aimed at increasing trade volume with Russia. Taiwan was the biggest chip manufacturer, and Taiwan is saying bye-bye. It's actually said it on the 25th of February. Europe isn't saying bye-bye. Europe is saying fudge you. Okay, and stopped selling everything to Russia. Stopped supplying from turbines to, energy technology, cars, everything. The United States of America, not even saying anything. Russia is looking that way, and then it's seeing the way America is looking at Russia. No words needed, okay? We don't even think of trading with America any longer, okay? Same goes for Canada, for Australia, for New Zealand. Who else we have to buy things from? There aren't any countries on Earth left. And, right now, still the gray import works. And somehow companies still try to, succeed. Some of them succeed to bring over different parts, to Russia, equipment and things like that. But things will get tougher and tougher because it's plain and simple. Manufacturers don't want to sell. The company called DuPont, back in March, it set up a task force that actually investigates the dealers in different countries that all of a sudden miraculously started selling so much more than they usually had sold. It means that, they buy more from DuPont and they sell it to Russia secretly. DuPont is going hard after those companies, those dealers, stripping them off dealership and things like that. And I think that's just the beginning. DuPont has shown an example to many, many other companies and many countries for that matter. And I think it's going to be much more difficult increasingly difficult for Russia to continue the importing as it has been doing in the past. So I think that importing will fail miserably as well. One way or another, I think Russia is screwed. What Russia will do? Honestly, I don't know. But I am pretty sure that this importozamещения program will fail if it will be conducted in the way it has been in the conduction for quite some time. And I think that importing of products and goods to Russia from other countries will also become more and more difficult. Probably will not fail miserably, but it will be shrinking. And this is my message for you for today. I would like to ask you to please let me know in the comments what do you think, what's going to happen to Russia in terms of these two things, self-sufficiency and manufacturing and importing. I would like to hear your opinion, whether you agree or not with me. Let me turn the comments. Please use common sense when you comment. Listen to the mods. Mods, thank you so much. You're fantastic. And let's do it. Howdy, howdy, everyone. The usual suspects. It's so good to see you. Hope you're having a good Sunday. It was great to see some of you in the stream yesterday. For the sponsors and patrons, Black Cat, Brianna, Mommy, Lorna, Angelicat, Emramakis, Alex, Mr. E30. What is E30? Is that Mercedes E30 model? Karen, howdy from Scotland. Todd, Stephen, Frank, Terry, Bruce, Sylvia, Brother Randall, Marsha Tucker, Robert Holland, Nellie Wilson, Bob S., Jeffrey, Luke, Christian, BC, George Walters, Wadas, 90, Baba Johnston, Howdy Howdy, Yodi Racer, Pamela J., Tomasz Mardowski, Scott Nesbitt. We have first super chat from Luke King. According to Wikipedia, 60% of Russian economy is generated by services. Your engineering firm would be classified as service business. How a service business going to grow in the future? Luke King, thank you so much for the super chat and for a good question. 60% of Russian economy is generated by services. You know what? Right off the bat, I would doubt that because as far as I know, from 50 to 60% of Russian economy is generated by the sales of oil, natural gas, and metals. Rare metals, regular metals, and fertilizers, natural fertilizers. That is kind of a surprise for me that they say that 60% of Russian economy is generated by services. I doubt that, first of all. But a great deal of Russian economy is generated by services. Yes, because other than exporting, selling our natural resources, everything else is services. I would say 35 to 40%, something like that. My engineering firm would be classified as service business, yes, but the thing is, what they talking about services is B2C. beauty salons, restaurants, food industry, fitness industry, things like that. Attorneys, accounting. These are services, not just engineering. Engineering is tiny. And this service industry has been shrinking greatly for the past 6 months. My company, my industry, not just company, my market is in trouble because so many more projects, not closing, but they don't close projects that we work on. They freeze them. That's the thing. The project is frozen until further notice. Now, we have so many people working on the project, and they're usually hired full time, and we have to pay them salary. What are we gonna do? We're gonna try to cut their pay, send them home for vacation, unpaid vacation, or cut their days by 50%, by 60%, whatever. Just individual with every single engineer or every professional. After so many few months of such fever, I would say, we'd have to close partially our company or close it completely if we don't have any contracts. And my industry is imploding because it's a long-term game. Okay, you need to build a power station, you need to financing from banks, and return on investments usually 10 plus years, and volatility right now is just incredible. We cannot plan 2 weeks. The planning horizon is no more than 2 weeks. So I know that lots of small businesses have been closing, that serve directly to people, B2C. That's very flexible because it's usually very few people work in a service, and you can, decide on the fly just like this. It's really difficult if it's a large engineering company. It's just conditions are so different. But the smaller companies that service to consumers, they have been closing, shrinking, and I think that this is the trend. I mean, people will have less money to spend, therefore they will not buy the services. Therefore, the companies will be closing. I'm sorry for such a long answer, but I hope you know, I answered it. Lloyd Bremer, hi from Minnesota. Howdy, Lloyd. Thank you so much for super chat. Black Cat, another gift to 5 people, 5 new sponsors. I hope you come back next Saturday for a sponsor-only stream, and we'll thank Black Cat for giving you opportunity to participate in private streams. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down and read the messages that are in caps. Jeffrey S. Does Russia make hockey stick and or pucks? Jeffrey, when I played hockey, trust me, my hockey sticks came from Canada. I forgot two incredibly popular brands. Anyway, they use them at NHL, at KHL, Russian League. As far as I know, none of us had Russian hockey stick. Pucks, perhaps because puck is just nothing but a piece of rubber, real hard rubber. Philip, 4457 from Croatia, howdy howdy. Back in Georgia, Paula. Ludmila Hopkins, Liz, American Girl, Cox Johnson, Andy Wilson, howdy. Norway, Mr. Hansen, Angelic at Life. To have imports, don't you have to export too? Well, we export, right, To have imports, we need money to buy things, and we've had money until recently for due to sale of natural gas and oil. I thought the bigger oil brought more revenue to Russian budget, but I was wrong. It's oil. I thought natural gas brought more revenue because natural gas is so cheap to transport, and it's sold into large volumes through pipelines to Europe, to Turkey. But it turns out to be that Russia gets most of its revenue from oil because it sells so much more oil. It sold so much oil because you know it's selling less and less. Bruce, if they are able to export, how will they fund gray imports? Well, gray imports are imported, funded by us, by consumers mostly. They won't be able to great import Siemens turbines or Claas combine harvesters, because that's just no. Those things are easy to track and those things are easy to control online. Gray imports will be like iPhones. If I go to and buy a gray iPhone compared to the white one is at official Apple resale. I paid for my iPhone 13 Pro Max 119,000 rubles. Now the same kind of iPhone is 150,000 rubles if I go to the same place to buy from the official reseller. But if I go to buy from the great import, a company that brought 50 iPhones and reselling, online, I would pay 79,000. You see the difference? So I fund gray imports. I buy things that I need. The problem is in the future I will have less money, and Russians in general will have less purchasing power. Okay, that's what the problem is. We have a new sponsor, Donald Ellsworth. Welcome to Inside Russia. Linda, hi from England. I think you're right. I think the Russians will be a bit of a mess for a while, for quite a long while. Yep. Eric Garden, what are these Russians equivalents to Tesla, Microsoft, Google, Amazon? Okay, name by name. Tesla, no equivalent. We don't produce electric cars. They were tries. One oligarch, very rich guy, promised Vladimir Putin about 15 years ago he would build one within a couple of years. Still waiting. Personal promise, by the way. Microsoft, there's open source software. If we're talking about Microsoft Office, that's open Office. But if we're talking about Microsoft services and so forth, there's no alternative. Google, there's no alternative. Well, Yandex, there's a company called Yandex that's somewhat alternative to Google. And Amazon, there's a Russian company called Ozone. Robert Holland. Charlie B, howdy from Pacific Beach, California. Going to the beach. Well, it's too bad being you, huh? Want to trade places with me here? I'll go to the beach. How about that? Flapdroll. Iran managed to keep F-14s flying somehow. Are you sure? Are you sure they're flying? Jung Lee, in North Korea, they call this philosophy of self-sufficiency Yusha. They only have black market. That's what we call gray importing. But as you know, the North Korean's economy doesn't work. I know. And that's, well, I'm glad you read between the lines of my message when I said I don't really know what's going to happen, what path Russia will really, like what result it really will achieve, because both things, in my opinion, will not work. Even in the short run, I'm not even talking about the long run, Hope everyone is having a blessed Sunday, says Nelly. Thank you. Lectris, hi from UK. Manufacturing will start up and be near self-sufficient like 50 years ago. Different stuff compared to the West. We'll see. We'll see. I disagree. We sell coal and gas and shut down manufacturing during the 90s, says Robert. Sabrina, howdy, howdy. Sandy, I was actually surprised when you said both things would fail. I think so. That's what I think. R. Stewart. Angels with sharp swords. Thank you. Easy Hack from California, howdy. Brem, I think your analysis is right on the money. Warm greetings from the Netherlands, Brem. Thank you so much. Brem, I think I will tell you a little secret. I personally think that my analysis is right on the money too. Luke King, thank you for another $20. Can a planned economy and market economy work together? What stops the government competing with your business? Good question. It actually can work together, and it did. Very few people know. That's going to be a surprise to you that in the Soviet Union, we had capitalism for 10 years. Yes, we had capitalism for 10 years. Soviet economy was falling apart in 1965, and they needed to find a measure to stop, to improve somehow. So there was a guy, they made him a minister of something, and he was in charge of revamping the economy. And he introduced this idea that state-owned and run companies, well, all companies, are given certain level of freedom to produce whatever they want in quantities and in quality whatever they want, and they sell it like competing with other companies, okay? And the best thing is some of the profits that would be left from that free enterprise, so to speak, could be distributed between the employees. Russian economy started doubling up, growing by 100% every 5 years, because companies, state-run, state-owned companies, they started actually making money. That the people who worked in them, they had an opportunity to make money. So they started caring about quality. They started coming up with products that people would buy. Okay, apparel, very fashionable. They would steal models from France, and we would do the same thing. The Chinese, what Chinese are doing right now, things like that, and the economy was growing. They called 2 golden 5-year periods, basically 10 golden years of the USSR from 65 to 75. And then old communists, Politburo, they didn't like it because they were saying, hey, it smells like capitalism. Where's the USSR? We cannot allow that to happen. But it's all about the economy, stupid, right? So this guy was pushing his plan forward, and everything was fine. And golden years of the USSR happened during those times. And then all of a sudden, the USSR discovered huge oil deposits, and it started exporting oil. And those old bosses from the Politburo, they said, okay, you know what? We stop manufacturing. Now, anything we don't make here in the USSR, we can import. And then petrodollars flew to Russia, were flowing into Russia, and then Soviet Union. And Soviet Union was buying everything left and right. Clothing, electronics, it started buying around late 70s, and that was the end of the USSR. It lasted for 10 years only, and then fell apart. And then falling apart was direct reason of direct result of that change in the economy. So I hope I answered your question. That's a very complicated topic, by the way. So I think that planned economy and market economy can work together, but it needs to be such a fine balance. I don't even know what would it take to balance things out to make it work. BC, how is your company doing? Short term versus long term? There's no long term anymore, only short term, and the planning horizon is 2 weeks. We have a couple service contracts are going on that keeping us alive somewhat, but we don't know what our future is because we don't know what the future of the industry is. Karina, I don't know about production, but I do not believe in isolated production these days, and you're absolutely right. Yoon Lee, thank you for your opinion. Simon, hey, first time here, big supporter of you. No, but been watching you. It's nice to see. It's not black and white. Life isn't black and white. Thanks for coming. Thanks for supporting. Sandy Granger, thank you. Do you see all educated Russians having to return to Russia because of country banning them? If they do come back, you have a chance of people making products. Now, do you see all educated Russians having to return to Russia because of country banning them? Which country banning them? I think as soon as Russians leave Russia, they will never return this time. If they're smart, educated, they can find jobs, they can establish good life in other countries. They will not come back. It would take so many efforts of Russia to bring them back. Russia would not be able to bring them back forcefully, right? And then only by creating fantastic opportunities for them. Like I came back from the USA in 2004 because there's such tremendous opportunity. I combined I wanted to see my family and I was invited. I was given a job and the things that we did were just fantastic. They were nothing compared to what I had been doing in Maine. Maine was just a small stuff. I was managing hotels. In Russia, I was building large power stations, large substations, high voltage switchgear, open indoor GIS. I was building power stations, so that's tremendous. Opportunities were so different. If they do come back, you have a chance of people making product. I disagree, Sandy. If they do come back, the only chance we have a chance of people making products is that the conditions are right for market economy, for people to start companies competing with one another. That's the foundation on which the manufacturing is based. If government is involved, like Russian government has been involved for decades now, nothing good will happen. Simon Oswald, welcome to Inside Russia. Great to see you, Simon. Christian Kruse, Russia have brilliant scientists and will be able to do most, also by just copying Western tech, but not all. USSR could do most, but the world is way more complex now. Now, Christian, why would Russian brilliant scientists stay in Russia if they can live and have so many more opportunities somewhere outside of Russia? I It beats me. Okay, the only reason they would stay in Russia is that Russia will make them stay. The Iron Curtain will lower down, but then person never does his best or her best from under the whip, so to speak. You gotta be free to you know to what you call it, to make things, to create, to be inspired. You gotta have a drive inside, and the government is never a drive. Electrics, military manufacturing may be the start of regrowth. Well, time will tell. I doubt, but I could be wrong. I see that the time is almost up. Pamela J. Agriculture going great. My vague memory of Iron Curtain era is lack of spare parts for tractors somewhere. Where? Russia, Poland. Russia for sure. Yeah. My uncle had a huge farm. He was in charge of a farm back in the USSR. Yes, the spare parts for tractors and combine harvesters were a big deal, big problem. And right now, agriculture is doing great because it's not very regulated. There are so many private farmers. That's free market. Okay, all you have to do is just take a piece of land and grow things. No one will come and tell you what to do, how to grow, what to plant, and it's up to you. That's why Russian agriculture is doing fantastic. That's a good example what people can do if they're allowed, if they're not interfered with. Okay. Couple more questions, and that's it for today. A lot of depends on how far the actions go. Well, Frank, goes without saying. Yes. Angelic at Life, thank you. Your message, you say neither way will work. What needs to happen? Not sure if it's a question. Um, well, I think what needs to happen is peace needs to happen first. Everyone needs to come to senses and come to terms with everyone, and the new rules of the game, so to speak, need to be established. That's number one. Nothing will happen without that. And other than that, we will see. GB, I see that Lorna deleted the message, but thank you for the support anyway. Stephen, your candor is commendable in the circumstances. Peace be upon all. It's been a long day. I attended this football game today, and I was screaming a lot, chanting, so kind of hard to speak for me right now, but peace be upon us all. Thank you so much, indeed. Do you think Russia and Germany will make a deal about gas during the winter? I don't know. Xerox Pro. Though time will tell very soon. I don't know what these people are thinking about, really. Um, Jacob, do you think China takes far east of Russia once they start thinking you're too weak? I think they certainly have aspirations, and it's a kind of. I don't really want to answer this question directly, but I hope you read between the lines. If I was Russian top official in charge, I would be very afraid of that. Now let me see if I missed any super chats or super stickers, and that's it. No, I think we're good. My friends, this is Sunday. I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you so much for coming to the stream. I hope you found my message interesting, somewhat valuable. Thank you. I would like to invite everyone to join me in prayer. I pray every single day, and a lot of people here pray along with me, so the bloodshed stops, and we send good wishes to people in need and prayers. So please join me today as usual. Dear God, thank you so much for giving us this wonderful Sunday. Thank you for giving food on our tables, giving roofs over our heads, and surrounding us with loved ones who love us and who we love also. Please help our children, keep them safe and healthy. Please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out and touch hearts of people who can make decision to stop it. Fill them with love, mercy, empathy, compassion, forgiveness. Please open their eyes. Please give them sense so they make the decision to stop. I'm asking specifically for American President Joe Biden, Russian President Vladimir Putin. Please reach out and touch their hearts, make them softer, fill them with love, compassion, mercy, empathy. Please make them stop the bloodshed. Please help everyone who's been affected in Ukraine. Answer their prayers, give them strength, give them forgiveness, give them love, relieve their pain, relieve their fears, answer everyone's prayer, and make everyone's wish come true. Please send angels to every single person in Ukraine, the civilians, Ukrainian soldiers, and Russian soldiers, so the angels will keep everyone safe and put everyone out of harm's way so not one single drop of blood is shed anymore. Please help my country, Russia. Please send an army of strongest angels with sharper swords led by Saint Michael to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country. Let's make it run by the angels, not by the demons. Let's make it righteous again. Let's make it good neighbor to the neighbors and good member of international community again. I'm asking for every single pregnant woman who's making a decision to keep a baby or not, reach out and touch their hearts and talk to them so they make the right choice. Please give us wisdom and sense and smarts to raise our children the way that when they grow up, they will make this world a better place and will never fight with one another. Please help every single refugee who has been forced to flee for his or her life. Send help, send good people, and send your angels to every single person in need. Please help everyone who is sick and looking for needs a recovery. Answer everyone's prayer, please. Thank you for bringing us in this community, online community. That's not really online anymore, but a real one. Thank you for giving us opportunity to pray. Thank you. Please help everyone in this live stream who is praying with me or just watching us praying. I would like to ask for some people who need your help. They are Elena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie and Igor, Buzz, Anne, Jean-Paul, Paula, Janine, Jane, Michael Milkovitz, Marlene, Narnia Lady, Sabrina, Freddie, Susan S., Susan, Fiona, Madeline, Chirper, Stephen, Ellen, King Nero, Priscilla, Michelin, Martin, Joanne, Donald from Wisconsin, who asks for himself and separately for his country, the United States of America. I pray for I Found Waldo, Allison and Dave Moyer, Liz, Deborah, Isabel Legault. May her father rest in peace and please give her health and strength to cope with these hard times. Janice Burgess, Maureen Ann, M. and her sister, Golden Griffon, um, Terry Carter, Liz, Bruce, Kayleen, Michael, Thomas, Tony, Bob, Jessica, Minutes to Midnight, Sandy, Workman and her husband, Mr. Hanson. I also would like to specifically ask for 4 children. They are Maverick, Sebastian, Britzel, and Coulter. They really need your help, and their families, their loved ones need your help. Please show the miracles, show your mercy and love to the kids. They need to come back home and live very healthy and happy life along with the families. Thank you, dear Jesus. Amen. My friends, thank you so much for coming here for another stream. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I hope you found it somewhat interesting, somewhat informative, valuable. I'll see you tomorrow. Another message, another live stream. Thank you so much. Bye bye.